Howdy, I'm Batista. My friends call me Bunny. We are in my studio for episode 11, which is Musclehead. Today was the last day of my Drawing 1 class for the semester at the Alberta College of Art and Design, and I wanted to make something for my students of all my classes as well, but more especially the class that finished their portraits today. Their self-portraits, and it's to show what a little more time and a little bit more polish and focus and detail can get you, because in the amount of 3 hours of class time that we have really isn't enough time to bring a drawing to fruition. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and it offers some insights and makes you want to progress through the additional stages to add detail to the work you've already created. Let's have a look.
One of the pointers I can give when working a piece up to further detail is in how one observes their work, sort of becoming detached. One way to do this is to turn your back to your piece, hold up a mirror and look at it in the reflection, and this helps your brain see it in a new way, so you're not so attached to the balance that you feel is right when looking at a piece. Another way would be to take a photo, look at it smaller, look at it through some sort of lens, look at it in some way to give you a new way to approach it. Because I think there is a method that you need, there is a plan of attack, and you should have a plan. You have to be sure that all your major shapes and forms take precedence over these small details where you can get caught up and really mess up the balance of light and dark, breaking up the larger forms which have to dominate the piece. You'll also see that I'm using a bridge or a piece of paper to protect my hand from sliding over and darkening the lights that I do have by smudging them. And the glove, which was given to me by one of my students, Dawn, coming in handy here. Normally I don't work with them, I'm starting to really like them. So I'm also using a sharpened pencil and also a very small micro eraser that's just very firm to get in the much more detailed work. Another thing that's happening in my mind while I'm working is I'm needing to not get trapped in the lights and darks, because a dark circled with light will appear much more dark, and a light circled within dark will appear much more bright. And so I have to be aware. For example, in the reflected light area to the right side of the face here, I'm having to darken it because its values are too light in relationship to the darks it's in, so they just pop forward too much. You can say that the lightest dark needs to be darker than the darkest light. That's kind of a good rule. So you have your sections of light on one side of a shape, like a sphere to simplify it, and those need to be quite different than the dark half. So you're using, say, one side of your value scale for the light areas and the other side for the darks, and you don't want those to cross over because it causes visual confusion. I start to go into detail areas, making smaller marks. At this part I'm not adjusting so much. I should have my proportions right. I'm also having a chance to go into some of the surface detail, and this plaster cast that I'm working from is very, very small, so the cracks and the fissures on the surface give it a really interesting look because they'll appear so much bigger, so much larger on the final drawing. And I just love how things look worn down. These are illusions, these are effects that you draw to give the feeling you can see in the close-up of detail. So not everything has to come to completion, and you don't want everything to be at a finished level of detail, but you want to do them where it's important. And you'll notice these cracks are a very light beside a very dark, and give you the idea of the scale of the true thing.
Well, I hope that was entertaining, if not somewhat revealing into the process of taking a drawing a little bit further into finished and detail work. I really love all the little nicks and crannies, and I might spend more time with this at a later date. For now, I'm going to call it finished where it is, and I hope that this has inspired you and that you come back and see what else I do in my studio. So until then, take care.